The annual Galactic Xenoarchaeological Conference was, as always, a grand display of the most brilliantly misguided theories in the known universe. Held within the crystalline spires of New Sense premier academic hub, the event attracted the galaxy's finest minds. Though, with each passing cycle, that standard seemed to decline. Dr. Z4-1227 Ba observed the proceedings with all four of their optical organs, each one rolling independently in what their species considered the pinnacle of scholarly disdain. The main hall buzzed with the usual suspects, the floating gas bags of the Helium Collective, still adamantly claiming that every ancient civilization was founded upon balloon technology, the silicon-based crystalloids, who somehow managed to uncover evidence of crystal worship at every excavation site, and of course, the ever-present hive academics of Betelgeuse 9, 60,000 minds, all sharing a single, thoroughly unoriginal thought. But this cycle was different, through the cacophony of 1,000 translation matrices struggling to convert academic jargon into something resembling coherent thought. A pattern was emerging. It began with Professor Kip's presentation on the ruins of the Proxima civilization, specifically, their rather emphatic warnings about a seemingly insignificant planet called Earth. Warnings about Earth weren't new. Humans had that effect on the galaxy. Their peculiar habit of combining advanced mathematics with pictures of what they called cats, and their disturbing tendency to solve complex problems by, as they put it, winging it had long baffled scholars. But these warnings predated human spaceflight by several million years. Dr. Zix, 427 Beta's third brain, the one dedicated to pattern recognition and sarcasm, picked up on something the others had overlooked. As they cross-referenced their notes, their epidermis shifted from its usual scholarly mauve to an intrigued chartreuse. The Proxima warnings matched, word for word, the recently discovered cave paintings of the gas giants' ancient methane-breathing civilizations. Both spoke not of the humans themselves, but of what they protected. By the great vacuum, Zix muttered, their voice sacs vibrating with pure academic excitement. They're not the threat, they're the wardens. A passing quantum jellyfish overheard this revelation and promptly existed in 3 states of shock simultaneously. The resulting probability wave knocked over a display of ancient artifacts, triggering a chain reaction of academic panic. The kind of chaos that inevitably followed any mention of Earth or its inhabitants. As security drones attempted to restore order using calculated bursts of calming pheromones, Zix began compiling their evidence. The warnings weren't just similar. They were identical. From the silicon etchings of the Andromeda archive to the psychic impressions embedded in the dark matter of the Kenan Nebula, every ancient civilization had left the same ominous message. Beware the blue world and the unfashionable arm. They guard the deep. Do not wake what sleeps below. Peculiarly, the warnings also included an additional note, P.S. Their coffee is terrible. The last line was particularly troubling, given that coffee hadn't even existed when these warnings were inscribed. Zix's fourth brain, solely dedicated to bureaucratic procedures, was already preparing the grant proposals. This would require a full research team, several decades of funding, and at least 3 forms filled out in triplicate. Little did they know, they were about to uncover exactly why some questions in the universe were better left unanswered, preferably buried beneath layers of bureaucratic red tape and a strongly worded sign that read, "Nothing to see here. Hashtag the perils of paperwork." The thing about universe-shattering discoveries is that they demand an absurd amount of paperwork. Dr. Zix, 427 Beta, learned this fundamental truth while attempting to file their findings under the galactic classification of potentially apocalyptic discoveries, Form X 789 Omega subsection. Things that should probably be classified, but we're all going to talk about anyway. Their office was now a chaotic explosion of bureaucratic evidence. Holographic projections displayed identical warning glyphs from 17 different extinct civilizations, each separated by millions of light years and tens of thousands of millennia. The magnetic monks of Magnetar 7 had encoded their warning within the very spin of electrons. The quantum questioners of the Crab Nebula had left their message encrypted within collapsing probability waves. Even the notoriously uncreative rock people of Riel, who had named themselves with characteristic ingenuity Rock People, had managed to chisel out a detailed warning about Earth. Each civilization had conveyed the same ominous caution in its own unique way. Guard the guards of the deep, crystalline consciousness of Caris Major. The blue marble contains the watchers, void dancers of Vega. Seriously, don't mess with the bipedal monkeys, the blunt beings of Beetlejuice. The messages range from poetic, they dance upon the prison of horrors, to practical, ocean planet with terrifying contents, guarded by creatures who think explosions solve everything, to exasperated, look, just trust us on this one. The classification committee was in complete turmoil. We can't file this under existential threats, protested committee member Blob 42, their gelatinous form quivering with bureaucratic indignation. That section's already full of Earth's cooking recipes. Thus, a new designation was created. Paradoxically protective peculiarities, PPP. The humans, it seemed, were cosmic guard dogs, unaware of their own job, yet performing it with terrifying efficiency. Dr. Zix's research team compiled a comprehensive list of human traits that made them such effective wardens. Their ability to survive through sheer stubbornness, their habit of adopting dangerous creatures simply because they were cute, and their unsettling tendency to respond to cosmic horror with memes. But the most disturbing pattern of all was in the timing. Each civilization had left their warning at precisely the same moment in their development, right before attempting to colonize Earth and subsequently vanishing from historical records. The only traces left behind were these warnings and, in one case, a brief review of Earth's primary defender species. Would not recommend. 1 star. Horrible customer service. Also, they guard an unspeakable horror. The final piece of evidence emerged from the temporal archives of Tati, where a civilization had received a warning from their own future selves. Don't. Just don't. P.S. If you're reading this, you're already thinking about ignoring this warning. That's exactly why they're perfect for the job, as Dr. Zix compiled their findings into 17 mandatory report formats, including one that had to be transmitted via interpretive dance. They couldn't help but notice that their office plant, a simple photosynthetic organism from Earth known as a cactus, seemed to be watching them. They made a note to file a request for a less judgmental plant, preferably from a planet with fewer eldritch connections. The pattern was clear. Humans weren't the threat everyone assumed they were. They were more like cosmic bouncers, hired unknowingly, guarding a club they didn't even realize existed, and doing an alarmingly good job of it through sheer force of chaos. The real question was, what exactly were they guarding? Dr. Zix filed that particular inquiry under things to investigate from a very, very safe distance. The cartographers were trying to map something that kept moving. The fascinating thing, Dr. C.P. burbled during one research briefing, is that humans have explored less of their oceans than their nearby space. It's as if something in their genetic memory tells them some places are better left alone. The team's psychometric scanners detected increasing levels of what they termed background wrongness emanating from Earth's deepest ocean points. This wrongness had a peculiar quality. It never quite reached critical levels because it kept being disrupted by human activity. Every time the reading started to spike, humans would do something incredibly chaotic that would reset the meters. They're like cosmic white noise generators, observed chief researchers it, their crystalline form vibrating with revelation. Their chaos cancels out whatever that is down there. The evidence became harder to ignore. Ancient texts spoke of creatures that slumbered in the deep, waiting for a moment of perfect order to awaken. Humanity, with their gift for creating constant, perfect chaos, had unknowingly become the universe's most effective snooze button. The research team documented countless examples. A potential awakening in the Mariana Trench was averted when humans decided to hold a worldwide virtual dance competition. A spike in eldritch energy near the mid-Atlantic ridge was neutralized by a viral video of someone falling off a chair. A concerning convergence of cosmic forces was completely disrupted by a global debate about whether a dress was blue or gold. Dr. Zix's third brain had a minor meltdown trying to process the implications. Their fourth brain was already drafting a request for hazard pay. Their second brain was wondering if they could get transferred to a nice, safe project studying black holes. Their first brain was just screaming internally. The team's linguist made another crucial discovery while analyzing human languages. Every human culture had myths about sea monsters, but these weren't just stories. They were warnings passed down through cultural memory. More importantly, they were warnings written from the perspective of someone trying to keep something in, not out. Look at these phrases, the head linguist pointed out. Here shall the monsters stay. The deep must remain silent. The abyss gazes back, and we gaze harder. They're not afraid of what's down there. They're telling it to stay put. The final piece of evidence came from studying human defense installations. While they appeared random, when mapped against the ancient warning sites, they formed a perfect containment grid. Humanity had built a planetary-scale prison without even knowing it. As the team compiled their findings, they noticed something else. Their observation post sensors were picking up irregular patterns from Earth. The humans, despite their apparent obliviousness, had spotted them. More concerning was how they responded, not with fear or aggression, but with what appeared to be casual interest. Hey, check out those aliens trying to hide behind the comets, read one intercepted transmission. Should we wave? Nah, let them think they're being sneaky. It's cute. Dr. Zix made two final entries in their research log. 1. Humans are definitely more aware than they pretend to be. 2. Request immediate transfer to any project not involving Earth, humans, oceans, or awareness of cosmic horrors. Preferably something involving space rocks. Nice, simple space rocks. The breakthrough came as most horrifying revelations do, during the research team's lunch break. Dr. Zix, for 27 Beta, was attempting to decode the latest batch of ancient warnings, while simultaneously trying to figure out how their food synthesizer had managed to create something that technically qualified as edible yet somehow tasted like existential dread. That's when they noticed it. Every civilization's warnings, when processed through a quantum linguistic matrix and filtered through 7 different dimensions of meaning, formed a single coherent message. The fact that it was written in Comic Sans somehow made it worse. Before time was time, the message read. Before space was space, they swam in the void. When the universe cooled and matter formed, they were trapped in the gravitational well of a single world. The oceans became their prison, the depths their tomb. But they dream. Oh, how they dream. The message continued with helpful bullet points, because even eldritch horror apparently benefits from good formatting. The perfect prison needs the perfect guards. Evolution is not always random. Chaos is the enemy of awakening. Have you tried this thing called coffee? It's horrible, but we can't stop drinking it. Dr. Zix's third brain made the connection first. Their second brain immediately tried to file for retirement. Their first brain began composing a strongly worded letter to the universe about responsible cosmic horror management. Their fourth brain just kept screaming. The truth was simultaneously simpler and more terrifying than anyone had imagined. Earth's oceans didn't just contain ancient horrors. They contained the ancient horrors, the ones that had existed in the void before the universe properly got its act together. And humans? Humans were the universe's immune system. The research team's geneticist, who had been studying human DNA while muttering increasingly concerning things under their 3 sets of mandibles, finally emerged from their lab. Their carapace had turned white with shock, which clashed horribly with their lab coat. It's not natural, they chittered. Human DNA looks like it was designed by a committee that was simultaneously very clever and completely unhinged. They're perfect chaos generators. Their very existence disrupts patterns. The evidence was overwhelming. humans had evolved or been evolved to be the cosmic equivalent of that one neighbor who mows their lawn at weird hours and practices trombone at 3 a.m. Their presence created a constant field of low-grade chaos that kept the Ancient Ones hitting the snooze button on their cosmic alarm clock. The Council's probability analysis department ran the numbers. The chances of a species naturally evolving to be so perfectly suited to inadvertently guarding an ancient horror were approximately 10 to the power of 42 to 1 against. This was the kind of probability that didn't happen by accident, unless the universe itself had a very strange sense of humor, which, given the evidence, seemed increasingly likely. The final proof came from analyzing human entertainment. Every story humans told about sea monsters and cosmic horrors was technically accurate, but they had somehow turned their sacred duty into a genre of entertainment. They made plush toys of creatures that could devour reality. They wrote romantic comedies about dating the apocalypse. They're not oblivious, Dr. Zix concluded. They're immunized. It's like their entire species got cosmic horror vaccinations at birth. The research team psychologists needed 3 different types of therapy after realizing that humans found comfort in their knowledge of the horrors. They made documentaries about the deepest parts of their oceans, pointing cameras into abyssal trenches with the casual interest of someone checking their mailbox. The greatest trick humanity ever pulled, Dr. Zix's final report noted, was convincing the galaxy they were just clever apes when in reality they're the universe's most sophisticated prison wardens. They keep chaos on tap like other species keep water, and they don't even know they're doing it. Or, perhaps more terrifyingly, they do know, and this is just their idea of fun.